Leather helmets. Did anybody in here play with leather helmets? Am I that much older than everybody? But anyway, you wore leather helmets, you know, then it went into the plastic, and then of course, now they've got the real good helmets, very protective. And of course, pads have changed so much. You know, we used to wear pads, we had to wrap around our waist, and heavy, burdensome, you know, and now they're so light you can't hardly feel them. That's why these kids are so fast nowadays. They can fly. These very lightweight uniforms that they make now. Shoes are like tennis shoes, you know. And when I started back in '49, I mean the shoes were gawky and high top. Now everything's low top, you know. And so anyway, I did get to go through that. Of course, you didn't have the media back there that you have now. Nowadays, a player can't do anything without everybody finding out, you know, because the media just knows everything that's going on. I know when I was coaching at Florida State there in the last 30 years, I mean, the press would know about it before I would. One of my boys would get in trouble at night. I wake up the next morning, pick up the paper and read about it, you know, because I didn't know about it. But back when years before that, you did know. But the media is just right on top of everything. The exposure, you know. Now, the question I've been asked a lot today is, will Florida State join the Southeastern Conference? I don't think there's anything whatsoever to that. I think somebody just started that rumor. And you know how the media is nowadays. They don't have to be true. They'll keep pushing it. You guys know that in the media, you got to have stories. You got to follow up on it. You got to find out about it. But I know there's no interest in Florida State about joining the Southeastern Conference. And I doubt if there's any interest in the conference trying to get Florida State either. Now, somebody says Texas A&M is about ready to go. Well, I could see where they would, because they're not happy out there in Texas about what University of Texas is doing. Texas is getting a television connection just for them that handles all their games, and they're talking about putting high school games on there. Can you imagine the advantage that would have? Can you imagine the advantage Alabama would have here, or Auburn, if they had the whole state network and every Friday night they showed a high school game, you know, in the honor of Auburn or in the honor of Alabama? Well, you'd have every kid going there, you know. So I'm sure Texas A&M was upset about what the University of Texas does. I think their conference will be smart enough to restrict that thing, but that might be what that's all about. But anyway, as far as Florida State's concerned, from what I've heard from our people, there's no interest whatsoever. Why did these schools all change conferences anyway? Why did Colorado go to the Pacific Coast? Why did Utah and who else went? Utah and somebody went. And then of course the other conference, Nebraska going Big Ten. Well, I couldn't believe that, you know, but they did. Of course, the whole thing is to get a TV contract, because if you're if you're in a conference that's got a lot of people living around there, like the Midwest has, and Chicago, and Cleveland, and Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia, and all those towns, you know, they're going to have a television audience, and they can pay a lot of money. So these teams have joined these conferences so they can get that. They all pool their money, and then they divide it in the conference, you know. And so anyway, that's the reason they expanded it. I'll tell you something I learned my first year at Florida State. Well, actually my first 4 years at Florida State. You know, football is very valuable to a university. Now there would be people who say, oh, it's not. Football's a lot of foolishness. College is to get an education. College is to get our kids educated. Football is a lot of foolishness. We don't have to have football. You know, that's all I hear is football. Well, I come from the other side. The colleges need football. Now, let me give you an example, and you can relate this to your university. I go to Florida State in 1976. Florida State had gone 0-11, 1-10, 3-8. Well, they have to let the coach go, right? So they hire me. I come down there, they got a stadium that seated 41,000 people. That's about 85 now, but it's 41,000 then. But they were only averaging 17,000 a game. They say you could get a ticket anytime you wanted to, anywhere you wanted. I've heard our ticket man kid, you probably remember old, I forgot his name right now, but anyway. The guy sold tickets when you were there. He was the kid about it. He said, back when he was only getting 17,000 a game, he said somebody had called him a day before the game. Yeah, hey, I've got some people coming from the bank. They want to go to the ball game. Can you get us some tickets? Can you get me tickets? Yeah, I can get you some tickets. Well, where are they? Well, they're down. I guess they're down the end zone somewhere. No. Well, where will I get tickets? Well, where do you want them? Where do you want to sit? You know. Oh boy, you know. Then it'd say, what time is the kickoff? You'd say, well, what time do you want them to kick off? It was about that bad. It was about that bad. So I go down there, and naturally want to start filling that stadium, because if you gotta win, and you gotta fill your stadium, because football is going to pay all the bills. Football is going to pay all the bills. Now you look at Florida State now. They've got about 18 sports there. Maybe they have more. At 18 when I was there, might have 25. Girls and boys, and so none of them make money. None of them make money, and you got to have them. But no, girls soccer is just not going to get many people. Although Florida State's had in the top 4 the last several years, you know. But you don't draw a big crowd. Same thing with boys softball. Baseball draws baseball can pay for itself. You know, basketball does make some money, but football has to carry 95% of the load, because you got a 85,000 seat stadium. They've set a ticket for a lot of money, you know. So you got to fill them up. So anyway, my first year there, I'm thinking, well, I got to get people to come to the game. Well, back in those days, they would give the head coach 10 tickets. I used to get 10 tickets to the ball game, complimentary tickets. And I could do anything I wanted to with those 10. Coach, he said, you're 10, and you can't sell them. It's against the law to sell complimentary tickets. They're for your family. You know, well, so I gave Ann and one of her friends there, but I couldn't go with her. You know, but I had 2 children living at the house. I gave each one of them and one for their friend. And I had a neighbor. I gave my neighbor a couple. I had 2 left over and couldn't get rid of them. So by one. You know, I tried to give them to the janitor. I said, here, you 2 tickets tomorrow. I ain't coming. That's where it was. And so I remember the day before